Greetings and welcome to Mimi P. LLC, where body safety and confidence are essential to mental health. I'm Mimi P. I'm going to do a series on how to educate your children using the Bible as a teaching tool. Most of the time for me, I use the King James Version. And then here, I will be using the New King James Version a lot of times. But sometimes I would refer to a different one to bring home a more straightforward meaning. King James is delicate, but for this lesson, I will be using the Christian Standard Bible, and the interpretation is coming from my phone. I want to give parents an idea of how they can approach their children based on the age, the wording that they can grasp. But this first lesson is to give you an introduction to show you how you can start. We were using the book Leviticus, which is in the Old Testament. And then later, you can also see how important it is to use the Old Testament even with the New Testament. But it's Leviticus chapter 18, verses 6 through 16. I know there will be viewers who are not of the Christian faith. I believe in Jesus Christ, and He has given me this assignment. The thing is, yes, this is a book of laws. But I want you to understand they're talking about here, we're just going to keep it straight to the path of teaching your children about safe touch and unsafe touch, about the morality of honoring your body and honoring somebody else and the boundaries. So yes, this was talking about marriage. But what's wrong with that? Back in the old days, you were not to have any kind of sexual contact until after you were married. So why not use this content to teach your children boundaries and to help them identify when somebody is touching them inappropriately? I ask you to please understand that this is to help your children and to help you be able to communicate. How to open up an atmosphere where they can trust you to come. If you make it where it's no big deal, this is how we talk. It brings an atmosphere that I'll be safe. So let's get started. And that's Leviticus chapter 18, verses 6 through 16. And I'll be using the Christian Standard Bible. You can download that on your phone. I do suggest also to go buy a Bible. You don't have to order one that's very expensive. I've seen them at Family Dollar and some other little stores that's inexpensive. You can check and see if they have them at Walmart. But the thing is with the Bible is you don't have to always look at your phone. And sometimes you want your children to stay off the phone so they can focus. Here we go. We need to learn or have an understanding of three words that always should be in our mind when we're teaching our children to help them understand. The words are molestation, incest, and rape. I'm going to read a definition, but you can also check out your dictionary to get the true definition as well to help you. And for me, when I looked it up, this is what I seen. Molestation, to make or force unwanted and or improper touch with intent for sexual advances towards another. Then we have incest. Sexual relations between people who are closely related by DNA or law that they are forbidden to marry by law. Rape. Unlawful and immoral sexual relations forced upon another by threat or fear. This is also includes taking advantage of someone able to make mental agreements such as underage, mentally incompetent, drunk, or under the influence of a drug, unconscious, or by deception. I read that to you, and I did add in there by force, they say, but I added the word of threat and fear. You can make a child feel so fearful that they'll let you do things that you should not be doing to them. So let's get on in with the lesson. Let's start at verse 6. And I'm reading from the Christian Standard Bible, and it's very straightforward, which I'm talking to the adults, so I can say we're comfortable. I would use a different version with the children to be more delicate, but we're all grown folks. And it says, you are not to come near any close relative for sexual intercourse. I am the Lord. You are not to violate the intimacy that belongs to your father and mother. She is your mother. You must not have sexual intercourse with her. You are not to have sex with your father's wife. She is your father's family. You are not to have sexual intercourse with your sister, either your father's daughter or your mother's daughter, whether born at home or born elsewhere. You are not to have sex with her. You are not to have sexual intercourse with your son's daughter or your daughter's daughter, for they are your family. You are not to have sexual intercourse with your father's wife's daughter, who is adopted by your father. She is your sister. You are not to have sexual intercourse with your father's sister. She is your father's close relative. You are not to have sexual intercourse with your mother's sister, for she is your mother's close relative. You are not to violate the intimacy that belongs to your father's brother by approaching his wife to have sexual intercourse. She is your aunt. You are not to have sexual intercourse with your daughter-in-law. She is your son's wife. You are not to have sex with her. You are not to have sexual intercourse with your brother's wife. She is your brother's family. I'm going to even go down one. I said to 16, but I want to go a little further to 17. You are not to have sexual intercourse with a woman and her daughter. You are not to marry her son's daughter or your daughter's daughter and have sex with them. They are close relatives. This is depraved. I want to go to this and get you to understand. Yes, it says sexual intercourse. It said nothing about molestation, but molestation tells you that's what it's pointing towards. Molestation is to make or force or unwanted and improper touch with intent for sexual advances. Molestation. Understand, I don't see sports now where the men are popping each other on the butt. I don't see, last time I seen a football game for the younger children, and it's been a minute, I don't see the coaches popping the boys on the butt. Because at one time when it seemed like it was no big deal, too many things have happened to where they're saying don't do that, because it does seem to be that somebody have maybe used as an excuse to be improper. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about ways somebody could be setting your child up for molestation and you not know it. How about when they're sitting on somebody's lap? And at first they're just bouncing them up and down, bouncing them up and down. Then they hold them and then they can pat them on the butt. It seems innocent. But no. In that person's mind, It's what they call grooming. They setting them up for it. Incest, that's talking about a relative being intimate with another relative. And you just heard all the things they said. No, no, no. The word marriage is a way of saying how you to honor your body and someone else is to honor your body. Marriage is a community of two people making a confession that they will love only them and be intimate only with them. And have not heard a story where someone was just molesting a child and didn't advance it into incest, where it actually came to be where they had sex with a child, or of rape. Because rape doesn't have to be a relative. Incest is a close relative. So let's go on into this so you can help your children understand it. In verse 6, it says, approach not your kin, your near kin. This is a way, very easy way to help your children understand this. When you say that, help them to understand who your relatives. And it's to help you understand, we're talking about people that's actually in the home, and then those that people let come in for the holidays or come over and spend the night. You send your children over to their house and spend the night because they're relatives and you figure you can trust them. Teach your children without any accusations and help them understand and identify. When you say near kin, ask your children, okay, that means relatives. Who are your relatives? Tell them to start from their parents. It's a great way. But it's talking about the parents. And in verse 8, who are the step parents? You see a stepmom. Who's your stepmom? So their dad's not married. Because I know in society today, everybody want to get away from that marriage stuff. Doesn't make a difference. That person is stepping in the roles. If things advance, that's where it could be. Whether the gentleman never wants to marry her or anything, yet that's the role he portrays to them. Your stepmom. Because she is there with the father. And then when you go down to verse 9 and 11, I want to bring them together because it's talk about your stepsister, your stepbrother. That's your stepmom's children. No, you don't have the same DNA. Because of the position she's in, her children is off limits. And anyone by marriage, in-laws, So we want to make that clear because that talks about it later on, but in a different way. So somebody said, well, they're not mine, they're not mine. It's by marriage. Verse 10 talk about grandchildren. There are cases where grandparents have molested their children. No, they didn't have a sexual intercourse. They didn't have the incest. And it didn't rape them. But they was touching their private parts. And they have gotten caught. And family don't want to go out and tell everybody, hey, grandma or grandpa did this and this. And some are just totally shocked. But the word gets out. It has broken up marriages, even though someone didn't prosecute. But you also need to understand, I'm not here to say, hey, you need to go prosecute them. But I'm telling you, it's dangerous to leave them out to harm somebody else's child. If they did their own, for sure they'll do another. One that was trusted in their care to take care of, and someone walked in on them. And then people don't want to take it to the news because, a lot of times things happen. We're going to bring something like that's going to pop up. Yes, indeed. The news personals, people do keep track of these things. And the family don't want to brought into a spot of shame. But I ask some of y'all, how about just letting it be? Let them deal with that shame. And you show the world that nobody, regardless of relative or not, violates your child. because you're trusting to keep your child, and that's what you're doing. All righty. And then how about aunts and uncles? Have your children tell you who these people is. If you want to, have them write down names. You can have the names of the parents, and the step parents. But sometimes by the time you get to the aunts and the uncles and the cousins and everything, and they did not go into cousins here. But remember, we're trying to protect the children so somebody don't be touching on them. It didn't talk about the coaches and all of that because that goes outside of the family. But we're using this lesson to have the children understand how important it is to nobody touch their body. Talk to your children about their private spots. How do they know they're being molested? You're a small child and somebody touching your private part, you don't want them to do that. And I'm going to be very honest and frank. That person is doing their body to excite them. And if a child gets excited, they don't know what is that feeling and why did I feel that way, especially when they're young. And to one child, it will hurt. So what we're doing is teaching our children when somebody has crossed their boundaries and giving them a voice to speak up. Somebody even as simple as keep rubbing on somebody's shoulder. We don't consider the shoulder a private part. But if the child don't like it, the child should not be told, oh, to quit being like that. The body is very important. It's sacred. It's up to them to protect the best they can. As the parents, you're to teach them and support them in that. They don't want people kissing them in their face. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with a handshake, a high five, or a fist bump. We're teaching our children about safety. We want them to know. Use this as a chance. In verse 17 is talk about multiple. Because some people was in there talking about sleeping out with the woman and her child and her grandchild. It's letting you know that that's all wrong. And I want you to understand, women are offenders as well. There are grandmothers who touch the grandchildren inappropriately, who touch the great grandchildren inappropriately. You hear politicians raising up the issue about abortion. And I believe there's two states, the state of Ohio, and I believe it was Tennessee. One 12-year-old, one 10-year-old in the house, and an adult male raped and impregnated them. It should not be. Was it the first time that child was ever approached? I don't know, but I don't think so. I think they was taking them step by step with the unwanted touch. Why didn't the children say anything? The child, this probably was so traumatic they didn't want to discuss it. They just wanted to forget about it. Or they didn't know how. How do you tell somebody something like that happened to you? Order my book, My Body is a Sacrifice, or the instructor's guide and parental guide to My Body is a Sacrifice by Mimi P. It's by Dorian's Publishing Company, DORRANCE Publishing Company. You can order from Amazon, but Amazon eats up most of the profits. And I do this more than just for profits. I do it more from the heart. So tune in again to Mimi P. LLC, where body safety and confidence are essential to mental health. See you soon. Do me a favor also. Tap that like button and hit the notification that you'll know the next time a course will come in. Thank you.